Hello, you. Welcome to the regular weekly chat on the virtual settee of YouTooSpain. Today, we're going to be talking to our best mate and residency specialist, Chris from Upsticks.es, all about why you need residency to live in Spain. Yes, we're going back to basics again. Everything you need to know and more will be answered, along with any questions you have about moving to or living in Spain in general. There's a few questions from Facebook and social media about visas to answer. So we'll answer them later on in the show. If you stick around to the end, of course, we have lots of extra information and some prizes just for you. Yes, you right there. In the meantime, gather round. It's time for the cosmic theme tune. Get ready to dance. Right, before I bring in Chris, three very important quick pieces of information as usual. This is like when you're on a plane and they show you how to put on the jacket and stuff like that. So listen, you have got to listen. Number one, you can help YouTooSpain. Yes, help to keep providing you with the oh so helpful things you learned today by making a donation through Patreon. And that gives you access to loads of extra info and behind the scenes stuff. There's a link in the video description. There's also just a very simple buymeacoffee.com, which is also very easy to use. And number two, check out our website, YouTooSpain.com, for more amazing information, blog articles and resources just for you. Very, very handy. Number three, last but not least, if you click on any of the links in the video description below, you'll get great discounts on things you need and excellent service from our partners, and you'll be supporting YouTooSpain. For example, if you're buying a house or moving over here or sending your regular pension or investments over, you need the best currency exchange company with the best service, the best advice and the best exchange rate to maximise your spending power and safeguard yourself against the sort of massive currency fluctuations we're seeing now with however many prime ministers there have been in the UK especially. So use the Smart Currency Exchange link below to get your free account, and you get a free advisor and you get a 24-hour app, whole range of services. Don't leave it till the last minute. Get your finances sorted out earlier so you know exactly what you've got to spend. So click on that link today. There's no obligation to do anything with it until you've just spoken to an advisor, and that's all free, you know. And you'll be supporting YouTooSpain at no expense to you. It's a win-win. So, without further ado, let's meet our wonderful guest. It's Chris from Upsticks. Hola, Chris.
Hola, buenos dias.
Buenos dias. You're in your garden this morning. That looks lovely again.
Yes, I'm in the garden, so apologies if you can hear the chickens in the background.
Yeah, it's all right. You're doing it live. I'm just doing it with a green screen and a pretend house behind me. Yeah, you're there for real. Brilliant.
Yeah. Fortunately, we had some internet problems this week in the office, not down to us, down to the office block. So and it's still persisting. So I'm here.
Oh, what a shame. You can't do anything without the internet, can you?
No. Thank goodness for the Lobster extra mobile data, basically.
Yeah. Give them a plug. We've got that. I think we're both kind of being sponsored or supported by them in some way, aren't we?
Yeah. You can. I think you got a link below for yours.
As always, there's a link below. There's one for everything down there. Yeah. So highly recommended. They do. It's free calls to the UK and to lots of other places as well, to the US as well, and really good. Loads of data. Very handy. So who have we got on the live chat? We've got John Bentley. Everybody's doing two messages this morning. Morning, Skatz. Oh, he spelt my name in two different ways. And John Nelson. Morning, John. When's your big lorry? No, it's not a lorry. Container. When's your container arriving from New Zealand? That's going to be soon, isn't it? He's over in Frigiliana.
Yeah, I want an invite to the first concert.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's already doing concerts. He's using my PA at the moment, so he's already done a few gigs down there on the coast, and with us as well. We formed a band, so
fantastic.
Going to be great. Doing sort of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, loads of great harmonies, and with my mate Mitch, who's a regular up here. So let's stop talking about music and start talking about back to basics, the subject for today. This is for everyone who's new to the idea of moving to Spain, but also it's, if you've even if you've moved over, you might need to know some of these things for other people, to help other people, or we'll also be answering questions about what to do when you're here as well. So last time we talked about why some people need a visa, and that's not something that everyone needs to get, but everyone needs residency if they want to live in Spain, because the visas just get you into the country. That's what they do. So tell us, why does everyone need residency?
Yes, that's correct. So if we were to break it down into EU and non-EU, evidently, even if you're an EU citizen and you intend to stay more than 90 days, now we know that nobody controls people coming in and out if they're an EU citizen, and there's nobody, but the law does say that if you intend to spend more than 90 days, then you must register and declare your residency here in Spain, which is literally, I think people, it's different to explain. Now, the registry for an EU person, it's you are signing on a registry as an EU person and you get a residency card. Evidently, it's different to someone who's coming with a visa and gets their TIE card. Yeah, but even as an EU person, you have to go on that register and you have to have the proof that you're on that register using your green card. For somebody who's a third country national who has entered in, and we'll go to the EU family members bit in a minute, who's entered in on a visa, evidently you still have to use that visa to then declare your residency and get your TIE card here. And then obviously the third thing, which is if you're an EU family member and you qualify to register under your EU family member, then and you intend to stay more than 90 days, then first your family member must declare their residency and you off the back of that.
So basically, I think the basic rule is, if you're a foreigner, if you're not Spanish,
yes,
and you're going to Spain, you just have to declare that you're living there, so that all of the administrative services and organisations of Spain can know you're here and can look after you. That's the idea. Because the more people that come into Spain, the more food they need, the more houses they need, the more etc. So that's the basic.
No, you're absolutely right. So evidently that, signing on the padron, helps local town halls. And I'm going to have to plug you in, Skatz. I'm very sorry. I didn't realise how late.
Running out of charge. Yes, don't run out of battery.
Don't run out of battery. That would maybe affect the show. So one thing about, I suppose we never talk about it, do we really? But it is the contribution into Spain. If you tend to stay here and you want to be a resident, then evidently it's good to do things properly, because that helps the country in which you're going to be living. Charge only. There we go. Sorry about that. It's doing things correctly is also helping here, the lovely country that we're living in and integrating into.
A lot of people a lot of Brits, we were talking about this before the show, a lot of Brits previously, before Brexit, just came over and stayed because they thought, well, we're EU citizens, we can do what we want, and didn't even register, and that seemed to be quite common, but you can't do it now.
We saw that. And to be fair, ignorance is bliss, but it is everybody's responsibility, I suppose, to find out what they need to do when they do come to a new country. But and the Spanish were very good within the withdrawal agreement at giving everybody an opportunity to register their residency, despite what Channel 4 and whatever bloody news outlet in the UK said them about kicking people out. I can categorically tell you that we did nearly 300 withdrawal agreement residencies, and everybody who qualified, there may have been the odd case that was maybe unfair. Yeah, I'm not saying that all cases were, but most people had a really good chance to get in, beforehand. And there was a lot of people who hadn't declared their residency, for the time they'd been here for about 5-10 years, So a lot of people EU citizens don't declare their residency, because they don't. Sometimes people don't know if they're going to be staying, and there's nobody really chasing them up either. So.
That's the other thing. The policing of EU residents doesn't seem to be too much of an issue, does it?
No, not really. Only becomes a problem administratively. So things like A really good example is a vehicle that we had this week with a colleague of mine who works registering vehicles with us. And a Danish guy has actually bought 3 vehicles in. And 2 of the vehicles were non-modified. And he's also got a Harley, which turns out it's got some modifications on it. Now, there's a lot more leniency at the ITV station when you're a resident and you're doing it for change of residency and you qualify than there is if you're doing it for as a non-resident. So the actual 2 first vehicles, all we needed was an NIE number and we could pass them through the ITV. And then the third one came along and I was like, have you sorted your residency out yet? It was like, yeah, so it's not going through the test until you do. So we had to declare that for change of residency. So it's, as you said before, it makes things administratively a lot easier here in Spain.
Just for the newbies, ITV is like the equivalent of MOT or NCT if you're Irish. So it's the test that all vehicles need. Just must keep on remember to tell people about the abbreviations.
Sorry.
No,
we're going
to
do a car show, aren't we? Anyway.
Yeah. We're going to. So I don't know. I'll keep my eye on that so that people know. I think. Actually, let's just cover one thing. We've had some people talking about this on Facebook as well. And a UK citizen who has an Irish wife, he'd just been watching my 9180 rule Schengen visa video. And he was asking whether it would be okay for him to stay in Spain for 120 days to do up their house there, because I'd said on the video that he's got freedom of movement as the spouse of an EU citizen. So let's just clear this up for all of those people watching who are getting their Spanish rules mixed up with their Schengen laws. Tell us why he shouldn't do that.
No, he shouldn't, because obviously if your EU spouse intends to spend, as a third country national, you shouldn't spend more than 90 days. And if your EU spouse is going to spend more than 90 days, then they would need to register their residency and you as their partner anyway. So unfortunately, it's not a way around the rules.
Yeah, because it's the Spanish rule of residency, and it's the same with variations around the EU. You can move around with your Irish wife as much as you want. She's got freedom of movement, and as long as you're traveling with her and you've got your marriage certificate to prove you're a couple, then you can travel around as long as you want, and you're not under the 9180 rule, because I think it's something to do with EU law says that you can't kick an EU citizen out unless they've done a criminal act. And if they separated you, they're not allowed to separate you as a couple if you're travelling together and kick out the non-EU resident. So that's why you've got freedom of movement as well. But all countries have their individual laws which say you really need to register as a resident for administrative purposes. So, they wouldn't. I mean, I don't know anybody who's, as an EU citizen, who's been kicked out of Spain for not registering as a resident. I don't know if you've heard of anybody like that. No, they don't tend to put it.
No, never. As I said, back in the day with with the Brits, when they used to come over and maybe be swallows. The swallows famous. Sort of do 4 months, 5 months, and go back home. A lot of people did it for fiscal reasons as well, who didn't want to be tax residents here. I never came across any EU citizen that's been kicked out for, no. I think it's more, again, going back to what we said before, it's A, if you intend to stay, it's obviously good for the country if you do it properly, and B, it makes it administratively a lot more easier when you're trying to do things.
Yeah. And of course, when they go through the border, there's no stamp on the passport. If you're an EU citizen, you just show it and they go, come on through, you're welcome, you can do anything you want. But if you're a third country national, then they get the passport stamp. But of course, they've got ETIAS coming in soon, which is all digital, and there won't be stamps on paper anymore. It'll all be registered, and if you stay for more than 90 days, then it will go beep beep beep, and you'll be subject to whatever fines or blocks from the country that they might give out.
And that with ETIAS, make sure that your passport's in good condition, because I just want to say I got in big trouble at East Midlands because my passport photo page is slightly ripped and it never works on the machine. Ooh. I use it. You imagine I use it quite a lot for their power of attorneys for NIEs, which you keep it simple, it's called a poder in Spanish. So I use it quite a lot for those things and traveling, and I've still got till 2026. And when I got there, it wasn't working on the machine, and when I had to go to the counter, the lady went, "Next year you can't use this, you have to get a new one now." I was like, okay.
Wow.
She was angry with me.
Oh, she must have had a bad day.
Yeah, but I think she was referring to that if you can't go through the machines, then she did scan it herself, and obviously there will still be those scanning points. But she was like, no. She was. I tried to crack a joke, but didn't go down very well, to be fair.
Yeah, they're not the most humorous of people on those desks. You should try going through the American one. They've all got guns and they're not allowed to smile at all. I think anger is part of the training.
I did that in '98, but I weighed about 60 kilos and had long hair, so
Oh
yeah, they
dear, it's
didn't
even
like me.
worse. Yeah, they don't like that. There you go. So even though they weigh a lot more than 60 kilos, and
I didn't weigh a lot back then.
so next question: how quickly should you get residency once you've entered Spain?
If you intend to stay, if obviously right, okay. So again, we'll go back to EU, non-EU. So if you intend to stay, or you have, if you're EU and you intend to stay, or have a family member that needs to register under your residency, then it's good to do it as quick as possible, really, because that gives you more of an opportunity at the end of the 90 days to register that family member. And if you're going to intend to stay, there's no point in hanging around doing it, because all the administrative things that you need to do. Obviously a lot easier. One of the things, as you're just mentioning there with our friend John, that he's bringing stuff, from outside the EU. And one thing we've seen this year, which obviously we never really have ever seen before, and the customs agents and aduanas, which is customs here in Spain, is getting used to, is actually seeing EU citizens bringing stuff from outside the EU, generally Irish passport holders bringing goods from the UK. So used to see it a little bit sometimes. So we'd see a demographic quite often of maybe a Spanish citizen coming in with their American spouse from the US, because a lot of the Spanish migrated to the US. We'd see it odd occasions, but not the amount that we're seeing now. People are getting Irish passports, So evidently, getting your residency as soon as possible helps facilitate those kind of things. And for non-EU citizens who are not coming with their EU spouse or coming on a visa, then when you enter the country, you've got 30 days from your entry stamp to register your visa with the police and get your resguardo and your TIE card. Now, 2 points to make on the 30 days is the honest truth is we haven't had any problems with people who've gone over those 30 days anyway, and they've been very good, the police across the board, with understanding people's circumstances, to the point where we had one that was actually expired, which they allowed us to register because of the circumstances they were under. But the safest way to do it is and you very rarely do it within the 30 days, because they take the 30 days from the date that you book the appointment. So, for example, we booked this week's appointments in December.
Wow.
So people who are coming, we've already booked their appointments, but they're running places like Estepona and Benalmádena are already running in December.
Wow. So,
January will be soon. We're already seeing now some of the so we call them TDHs, which is Toma de Huella, which means taking of the fingerprint, because that is what the registration appointments are called. And we're seeing TDHs run to the end of December now in Malaga province.
There you go. So, basic question: how do you get an appointment, and where do you go to?
So, and I saw on your notes, actually, there's a very good thing here on your notes about what you call Extranjeria, because we always struggle with our Spanglish, I tell you. But so you book your appointment online. There's an online portal which is facilitated by the government. What you'll find is that, and again, I think you've got links to this on your site, haven't you, Skatz? So obviously on your website, go there, you'll see the line. You'll see that you can choose the province in which you're going to be registering, and underneath it will give you a list of things that you can do. Okay, obviously for the purpose of this video, we're talking about either EU or Tom of the Way. Yeah, there's the two most popular appointments that just give you things like NIE numbers, etc., on there. And then what you'll find is that the availability and the information that they give for each area is sometimes slightly different. So, but there's an online, you have to have handy, obviously, your full name, your passport number, a Spanish mobile phone, and an email address to book.
Okay.
So
let's get down to some of these questions on the live chat, because I keep missing them. A lot of people saying good morning. 1200 Ryder K and Alan Lackenby. Hello, morning, Alan. And Dave T, Tony Carles. Alan's asking, this is a renewal question. For years 2 and 3, can you use premium bonds as the savings, as the passive income towards the doubling up needed?
It's best if with the renewals, what we always say now, again, we said we're going to do a renewal show, aren't we? Yeah. So when we go in with the renewals, we always try and put the Spanish assets in first. So if you've got money in a Spanish account, then we'd go in with that first. And it's always better if your centre of economic activity is in Spain, i.e. you've got savings. It's better if they're in a Spanish account. The reason being is because we can get better proof. And as we know, immigration is quite old school, and they do like a good stamped document, which is quite easy to get from a Spanish bank. That said, so far, and bearing in mind we're just in the first few months of the renewals and they're just coming out, we haven't used premium bonds yet. So we have no experience with renewals on premium bonds, but we have used British savings accounts. We have used actually British investment pot in one sense with a relevant translation. We have used rental income derived from a source of a property in the UK, which is paid into a UK account with the relevant translations. And they've been approved on that basis with a good explanation. So, albeit we've never actually had an approval of a premium bonds, if Adam wanted to leave them in premium bonds and not bring those savings to Spain, then what we would do in that instance would get the statement translated, and then we would make an explanation with un escrito, is where you explain to the person on the other end of the computer what you're actually presenting and how it relates to the amount of EPREM they have to prove. And then if they come back and say that that's not good enough, well, you've got 10 days then to cash them in and get them to a Spanish account and get a stamped document, basically.
Okay, so that's quite handy. AK Mitchell. Hello, guys. Morning all from a warm France. Joining a bit late today. Anthony and Kerry. And okay, I'm just going to make sure the people who've asked questions on Facebook, Chris has got a fixed length of time he's got today, so he's got to be gone by 11. So if we don't get to your questions before then, I'll answer them afterwards, because I think I can answer all of those ones. So let's get to the next question. In the basics, how important is the passport stamp if you're non-EU?
Very important. So if you're coming in, it dictates the length of time that you've got to either apply for residency, and it also, when you're coming in on a non-lucrative visa, for example, because let's be honest, it's the most popular form of coming to Spain at the moment on a visa platform, isn't it? That dictates when your residency starts. So just explaining that most Extranjerias, most foreign registration offices will take your entry stamp as the start date of your residency. Doesn't matter where your visa starts and where it ends, wherever you enter, then your 12 months will start there. That's been our experience this year. So it's very good to get an entry stamp to take advantage of the maximum time of that residency. For people who have come in and haven't had the entry stamp, in most circumstances, they've actually taken the residency from the start of the visa, which means you could lose a month or two, from your initial residency. But the correct way to do things, if you haven't got an entry stamp, is actually to go to the police within 3 days and sign a document called a declaración de entrada, which is your entrance declaration.
Great stuff. So that was actually my next question. What's the official date of your residency if you're EU or non-EU?
If you're EU, it's from when you go as an EU citizen, you'll go with all your requirements in place. You'll go, they'll look at it there, and the Extranjerias, let's call them foreigners registration offices. I suppose that's what we want to call them.
Yeah.
So when you go as an EU citizen, you get your residency straight away. So like what we did when I went with you. There to the left, as you know, you go there, you sit at the table, or in some circumstances they'll let me sit at the table as long as you're sat behind you. I think that was our experience, wasn't it?
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, I just sat there looking at my phone.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, he's over there. Pull his mask down. There you go. That's what he looked. Yeah, okay. And then I just do the presenting. There, some places aren't like that. It depends where you go. But you'll get given your card there and then. What they do is they years ago, we used to get the A4 green receipt, which proved your residency. And now you'll see they pull out a A4 piece of paper. They then put it through the printer. They then hole punch the card out the middle. They keep one bit and you get the receipt. So that's your residency card. So you get that in, and your residency starts on that date when you've been stamped to the police station. As you said, with the TCNs, the visas, they start from your entry stamp coming in.
Great stuff. So let's talk about preparation. How can you make sure you're fully prepared for your residency appointment in advance of moving? Can you be totally prepared?
Just go on Facebook and ask anybody, really.
Yeah, that's the solution for everything, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, look, depending how you can employ somebody to help you. And I'd definitely say that because I'd be plugging what we do, wouldn't I? So, be fool not to. But also there are, there's a lot of government sources, again, referring back to the YouTooSpain website. You've got links there, and you've got government sources to official laws, links to either the consulates and links to the Spanish immigration portal, which tells you everything you need to know. The only thing that it doesn't take into account, and jokes aside about Facebook, is local nuances. And there are things on Facebook where people do explain local nuances in terms of their experience. I think you just have to be a little bit careful, because everybody takes one person's experience as global and gospel as such, and that's not always the case. But it is a good source. A lot of the groups. A good source to find out either A, people who can help you, or B, what other people's experiences have been, which can warn you what could be in store for you. So, a mixture of, evidently, get somebody to help you if you can, reading the laws, but using the links on your website. But obviously a lot of it's in Spanish, and, getting something from social media, but don't believe it all.
Yeah, good advice. Let's find out from Dave T. He's been for his appointment at the London consulate at the beginning of October for the NLV, currently waiting for a response. How long is it currently taking?
Oh, good news. I think in the summer, you probably saw me quite weary on some of the shows, because it's just the consulates are a law unto themselves, and so is immigration. And you've got to bear in mind, even for example, Almeria last year had 35,000 files to deal with, applications, and Malaga's more. Now they have applied more staff, and we know that summer's a terrible time. But the good news is that at the moment they're taking around 6 weeks and even quicker. So we've had them out in up to 2 weeks now, which is just unheard of in summer. And I think now most of the people who had their appointments at the beginning to mid-September are now got their visas in. So it's quick enough. We know this is a good time of year to apply after the students. Things are speeded up a bit. Also, in the new law that was brought in July, immigration going to have a special unit now to deal. They're creating a special unit. So we know they've got up to their 90 days, but it has sped up a lot since September. So good luck, Dave.
Great stuff. And I heard actually on social media somebody saying to get on the Foreign Births Registry. This is something about getting your Irish citizenship if one of your parents, or one of your grandparents rather, is Irish. He applied in August of 2020, and his registration was successful just yesterday. So that's telling you
Wow.
it's over 2 years. I've been telling people 2 years, but I would say 2 years and a couple of months. There's no exact fixed thing on there because they have to go through a different process for each person in order to check the background. So there you go. That's another piece of news for people.
That's funny. It actually relates to something with the renewals. We've noticed in Malaga, not in any everywhere else, but in Malaga, they seem to address the renewals per expiry date on the card, which the sooner you come into expiry, the sooner that, or the end of your expiry period post the card expiring, then they seem to address those first. So I don't know if that's how their Excel sheet works, but
Yeah, I wonder. It's a computer thing. Oh, Bonnie Wallace says hi. Gino Monaco says hi. Hola. And John Nelson says, do you need a TIE card if you're married to an Irish passport holder? Good question.
yes, John, you'll get one. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. If you are a non-EU citizen.
Yeah.
There
So
you
John, what happened with John is once his approval comes through, he'll then have to go through exactly what Liz went through. We have to go and give fingerprints, etc., and then you'll get a different residency card to your spouse.
hmm So we didn't, as an EU citizen, no fingerprints.
No.
Yeah, they trust us with everything, don't they? Although I suspect, I know when we went to America, we had fingerprints, all kinds of things. They photographed your eyes and all sorts of things. They're very strict on that, but not in Europe.
And we have got a fantastic video explaining the whole process, because I can remember doing it. I was in Almeria in a hotel, so I can remember doing that. So
Brilliant. Oh, Bonnie, interesting question from Bonnie. Is the province in which you need to register noted on the visa, or can I choose a different province in which to register?
different province to which you initially used at your appointment. You can if you've got a Padron certificate. So this relates back to your file with immigration, with the National Police. So whatever, when you come to register your visa, the person at the Extranjeria, the Foreigners Registration Office, is going to jump on the computer, put your NIE number, and have a look at your file. And the address which is related to that file must match the application forms that you've got and present on the day. If it doesn't, then you need to present a Padron certificate so they can change it accordingly. So yes, you can. What we have found as well is different areas have different requirements. So Malaga, for example, for the first registration, albeit that you've registered at a different address within Malaga, don't mind you changing it without a Padron and first registration, as long as you update it once you get your permanent abode. We've found in other areas like Huelva, for example, even though your file on their computer matches the application forms that you're handing in, they still insist on proof of address in the form of a Padron.
Okay. Alan Lackenby saying, do you need a TIE card before you can register with a local doctor?
Yes, you'd need a residency, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know under which way. If you've got private medical health insurance, then you don't need your TIE card. They don't take that into account. If you're going to be receiving social security healthcare under any format, then you would definitely need your residency card to be able to process that and afterwards go and register with a doctor.
Yeah. Okay. Could you do it with a resguardo, with the paper saying you've applied? Yeah.
You do the resguardo as long as the person behind the desk understands what a resguardo is, because that will happen a lot of the time if they don't understand what it is.
Okay. Fair enough. So for the newbies, what does resguardo mean? Is it just a receipt kind of thing to show that you've applied?
Yes, it's your resguardo is what you receive once you've done your TDH, Tom of the Weyer appointment at the Foreigners Registration Office. It's basically your receipt, you've registered, but the card's gone off to the FMNT, which is where they make all the driving licenses and all the cards.
Yes. Is that where they print the money as well? Is that like
It is,
the
yeah, the
mint?
Fábrica de Moneda. It's where they print the money. It's the FMNT is the what's it called in the UK? The
The
mint,
mint.
the Royal Mint,
Yeah,
the
the
Royal
Royal
Mint,
Mint.
Royal
Hmm.
Mint. Yeah.
There you go. It's also the thing that controls your digital certificate
Yes.
registration as well. That's the organisation that do that. I did a video which is actually coming out next Saturday, all about the digital certificate. It's not a live show next week. I've already recorded this with Antonio the Hestor, so you'll be learning all about that next week. There we go.
Do you know how to digitally sign using your digital signature, a PDF?
No, you can do
It
that, can you? Does it?
Yeah,
Does
you
it?
can. Actually, I found out this week. That's all because I'd never have that. I mean, obviously, a lot of people have to sign them all the time. It's not actually that much I have to digitally sign. I had to with the town hall this week sign some official documents because we're taking some work experience stuff on, and
Mhm.
it's an EU funded project. And they sent it through, and they said, "I'll just sign it with digital signature." And I'd normally just print and sign and send stuff back. And I was like, oh, "Hang on a minute," and then they came to the office and said, "Why haven't you sent it?" And they went, "No, you do it like this." I was like, "That's
Ah,
handy." So maybe you need a video on that.
yeah, I think there's a video on all kinds of things that you can do
Very
with the
cool.
digital fingerprint or digital signature. I did. I was really proud of myself. I actually went on to what did I do? Oh, I need to get my driving license changed from Irish to EU to Spanish. I had
Right.
to get a copy of the Padron. So I thought I'd have to go to our local town hall and get it done, but you can actually do it online. It's really good. So I just put in the request on the right website, and within less than a week, it came through as an email saying, "Here it is. Here's the attachment," and now I've got it on my desktop. So very, very handy. I can print out loads of copies and do whatever I want with it.
That's so each town hall has something called a sede electronica. I think that's our town hall has one. And all of them work differently. Some of them work well, some of them don't. But generally, post COVID, one of the things that COVID did do was it got the ayuntamientos to really kick up the backside to get their sede electronicas up and running. And
Hmm.
though sadly, in some regions, most you used to be able to register using it during COVID, register on the padlock, submit the document, send a photo of you with your passport, and then they took that away, which didn't really make a lot of sense. But yeah, the
Hmm.
Serie Electronicas are great once you've got your digital signature.
Yeah, and Ayuntamiento means town hall. I'll
Oh,
drop that
sorry,
one
yeah,
in there. That's
yeah.
okay. That's why I'm here. I'll remember.
Another
So
one for the glossary. Glossary. We need a glossary.
yeah, glossary. I put that on the website as well. We put it on both our websites. I think that'll be handy. So what documents do you need? And you can split this up between EU and non-EU again.
Yeah, so obviously we know that we always go on about it, but all residency applications you need to be able to prove obviously who you are. You
Hmm.
know, first of all, so you're gonna have your national ID document. You need to prove you've got funds to support yourself in Spain in one form or another, funds or income, and you need healthcare. Evidently, you need somewhere to live. Now,
Hmm.
for an EU citizen, again, when you go to your appointment, depending on the province where you're going, proving where you have got somewhere to live initially is either use your padron, you may need it, you may not. Again, honest truth is, here in Malaga, we've got away with many without padrons, where people have needed to register before they could get on.
Hmm.
But we always advise, where possible, to have one. Your healthcare can either be private or on a state platform, whether you're self-employed, employed, evidently as an EU person, or on an S1. So that's the three main platforms you have for healthcare. And then your income relates back to that as well. So if you're self-employed, or if you have a job, then you'll have a contract proving what your income is, or if you're a pensioner, you'd have your pension proof or savings maybe in an account.
Hmm.
Um, that's for EU. The difference between that and getting a visa is obviously where you present your documents. So as an EU citizen, you'll be presenting your documents in Spain. As an EU family member, you evidently have to present the extra proof of why you're that family member, marriage certificate, so forth,
Hmm.
and that's presented to immigration. And if you have no relationship to anybody in the EU and have to apply for a visa, your documents are presented to the consulate, which is within your jurisdiction in your country of origin. And evidently, the consulate, aside from the documents we just spoke about, do have further requirements like criminal records checks to make sure that you're going to be allowed in the country.
Okay, excellent.
And medical certificates. Don't forget your non-exportable diseases medical certificate that they ask for as well.
Of course. There's a question from Bonnie Wallace, which is relevant right now. If I'm staying with friends on arrival in Spain, will I be asked for a rental agreement? Do we need to know whereabouts in Spain she's moving to?
If she's staying to, well, it depends. If she's coming on holiday, then no. But if she's coming as an EU citizen and staying and going to register as an EU citizen, then what happens often in this, funny enough, I was just dealing with some documentation this morning as somebody who did this, was they're staying with friends initially, and the friends did a declaration that they're staying with them, and the town hall accepted that to put them on the padron. Oh. So you don't have to have a separate rental agreement for the same property. Some town halls may insist that you are included in the current rental agreement, and some may just accept the fact that there's an annex to the rental agreement that you're staying there.
Okay. Is that the same if you're non-EU?
If you're non-EU, yeah, as well. So when you come in with your visa, if you're staying with friends, if it's a friend's property, then you'd need proof of that person's property. There is also contracts that you can get if you're not paying them any money. For example, you can get an official contract which states that you're staying at their property without any funds changing hands. So yeah, but you would definitely need some form of proof to present towards the town hall that you're staying at.
Great stuff. That's covered that one. Right. Any more basic questions? This is a good one. Do you need to be able to speak Spanish to go to your residency appointment if you want to do this all for yourself?
Certainly helps, evidently. Now, you can't, again, across the board, we don't know if someone's going to speak English or not, or whether they want to speak English or not at the administrative offices in Spain. So you initially have to understand that they probably won't speak English. And if they do speak English, it's because they're being polite, shall we say. So yeah, it does help, evidently, especially if you're going on the EU platform, that you've got some degree of Spanish, because they may have questions regarding what the documents you're presenting. If you can't explain, then evidently, that's a problem. In the UK, for the visa appointments, then no, most of the time, we don't attend the visa appointments of our clients because we're in Spain, and up till now, everybody's spoken English at the appointment.
Yeah. So, yes, I meant to say the Extranjerias, that's the foreigners office that we've been talking about, are they always at the local police station, or is it the national police station?
No, they're not always. It depends. So they are run by the national police, the borders, shall we say, the borders control of the national police. And depending they are at national police stations, but sometimes, and depending on where you're going, the demographics slightly different. So, for example, in Marbella, they actually have now a separate office which says CNP, which is Cuerpo Nacional de Policía, but it's only for foreigners registrations. Okay, so they actually have foreigners registration on one side, and they have the Spanish on the other. And just explaining that Spanish nationals, when they go through the renewal of their identity card, have to go through exactly the same process as anybody who's registered in a visa. They have to go, prove who they are, give them fingerprints. The only thing is they don't have a visa, obviously, sometimes in places like Almeria, for example, immigration, which is completely different to the registration office, are actually merged. It's the same office. So they have a huge office. They have Extranjeria on one side, and they have immigration on the other. So, but it's all encased in the national police, but in different formats depending on where you go.
Next question was, can you do any of the residency applications online? For example, if if you are the non-EU partner of an EU resident who's got their TIE card. Can you do that, the second bit online? I've heard you can.
Yeah, you can. So yeah, so you have, so your EU residency is always done at the Extranjeria, and then immigration, who are in charge of approving residency for third country nationals. So if you imagine you've got the registration offices and you've got immigration work on a platform called Mercurio. And if you're either a professional doing it on behalf of somebody, or you are somebody with a digital certificate who wants to do it themselves, then you can submit all the documentation online. You'll get proof of that, and they assess and register that documents there. Basically, you never get a chance to speak to them. You can't call them. You can't get face to face. So we often, obviously, when we're doing the submissions for the renewals for the NLVs or the EU family members, we have to be very strict in the documents that we submit, the quality, etc., because you don't get that chance to have the conversation with them. So that's all done online. Once the approval comes through, then you have to go back in person to register that approval. With the NLVs, this is a common thing that happened in the summer, where obviously off the back of the strikes that we had at the consulates, there was a lot of blame assigned to the consulates for the delays in the visas coming out. And then full circle in the summer, when the consulates started working again and people went to their appointments, the delays were actually in immigration this end, and everybody was still blaming the consulates, and the consulates were just like, it's not us, we're waiting for them to respond with the approval. Hence why Manchester started giving passports back to people, because they were sick of people asking us.
Well, that worked. Patrick says, good morning to you both. Big shout out to Chris, and big thanks for helping us with our paperwork for our visa appointments last Wednesday. Good. Another
well done,
success.
Patrick. It went well. Yeah, so just waiting now, waiting for the next stage 2.
Good stuff. Good luck with that. And Barry from Unitech, morning chaps. Sorry I'm late getting here, but I do have a note of my mum. Always the joker. Thanks for that, Barry. Lovely. Any more questions on the live chat? Well, that's the last of my basic questions. We could go to the questions. We have time now to do the questions that have come from Facebook. So let's grab one of those. Actually, I think this one we've already answered, so I'll just pop it up on the screen, because I said that we'd give a name check. Julia Barker, a Spanish company who assists with visas, has rung and said, my husband can't stay more than 90 days. I have an Irish passport. I thought he could stay as my spouse. So this is something we said before, wasn't it, about the difference between the 9180 rule and the Spanish 90-day residency rule. So I hope you heard our answer earlier, Julia. And somebody else had a question just like that. Janine Kiernan, that's a proper Irish name. We're from Ireland. How long can we stay for? Are we under the EU rules? So we don't need to say anything else about those two, do we?
No, I think we answered those earlier on in the show.
Yeah. Perfect. So let's bring the other one up. Thanks to you both for those. And number 2, there was a kind of a multiple question here. We'll answer the middle one first. It's from Anne Hunter Brown. It says, we live in Lincolnshire in the UK. Which consulate do we need to use? That's Manchester. And she says, do we have to book separate appointments at the consulate, even though it's a joint application? Presumably she's talking about she's married.
Good question. Yes, this comes up quite a lot. And it's probably worth highlighting now that so Manchester and London are now both running a similar booking system for the appointments. And to answer the question is, yes, you do have to book 2 separate appointments, so 1 each. Albeit, if you could get them as close to each other as possible, you will be seen together, especially if you've got related applications. So with Manchester at the moment, in Lincolnshire, sometimes if you're in South Lincolnshire, it's obviously quicker to duck on the A1 and go to London, but unfortunately you have to go up and across. With Manchester, they had a bit of a wobble sort of in September when they were updating the appointment system, and there was people who weren't getting appointments, and it got quite hairy with the documents expiry. But now they've got a great system. Their requirements to book an appointment are a lot tighter than London. They expect you to have your medical certificate in place, your acro, the translations, the apostilles, and you have to send a photo of yourself holding your passport. Quite often what we do for clients is and then they request all of this, and then their inbox won't take anything more than 5 meg. So obviously, you know, that's great. So quite often what we do is PDF the photos and stuff, you know, it's just so they get accepted on the platform. But once you've sent the correct email, you'll receive a code, and you can use that code to go on their booking link to choose an appointment, and they're readily available. So yeah, 2 appointments, but if you've got related files, then you'll more than likely be called together to be seen.
Brilliant. Just Gillian McClelland also wrote, what happens if we're applying for the non-lucrative visa unmarried? Been together for 30 years, can we still apply as a couple? And she says, one visa application, ? We've already answered that bit, but yeah, if they're unmarried, what do they do?
So say what's that Beyonce song?
Yeah, put a ring on it.
No, jokes. No, jokes aside. No, you would need to. If it depends really what your financial circumstances are. So if you both qualify individually, then it's not really a problem anyway. So we've had unmarried couples who qualify individually. If you need to take advantage of the deduction that you get for being a couple, then you need to take proof of the fact that you are a couple. Which would be joint bank accounts, etc. You know, if your assets are in a joint bank account, that's a lot better, you know, because it can prove that you've got 12 months of joint bank account and money in it together. If you own a property together, we've had it where people have owned properties in Spain together, haven't been married, you know, so you'd need to take all that sort of proof that you are. If you want to take advantage of the reduction you get for being a couple, you would need proof of that. Again, if you qualify individually, then it's not a problem.
Yes, indeed. Well,
what we have had on a couple of occasions is the consulate have requested notarized declarations from the UK that the person with the main amount of funds, if they haven't got joint assets, will take care of the person who hasn't got enough funds. So that's another way of if the assets aren't evenly spread, maybe money in a bank account, then you might end up going down that route as well.
Before we answer Anne Hunter Brown's third question, I think we'll answer Carl's one here on the live chat. My girlfriend has been in Spain 16 years and had to change her residency to TIE. That's under the withdrawal agreement, presumably. Can she, this is weird, can she change it back to Residencia? Well, it's the same as Residencia, isn't it? That's TIE means you've got residency.
Yeah, she's good. So as all of us did, who are Brits, back when Brexit happened. Sorry, my phone's still. I'm battling with a charge. Everybody who had EU residency had to declare their well, you can still do it if you've still got your EU residency card and you haven't done it, but evidently no, it's highly advisable if you still haven't switched your card to a TIE card to do it now. But she's got now withdrawal agreement residency, so she could not switch that back to an EU platform unless she got an EU passport.
Yeah, and will her TIE help me with my visa application? So that's interesting. That relates back to whether you can prove you're a couple or not, that what you were just talking about.
Are they married? Did you say they're married or girlfriend?
It said girlfriend at the front of the start of the message.
Depends, not really, to be honest. With there's a difference between both two people going for an NLV application or unmarried who've got joint assets to someone who's already got residency in Spain and they're trying to bring in a non-EU spouse. If they're not married, it's extremely difficult.
Yeah, because even if you're doing the family reunification visa, you need to prove a year of living together, really, and being a partner together. And if you've, if you're in 2 different countries, it's unlikely you've got a joint bank account and you've been paying bills together if you've not been living in the same country. So you're not going to have the proof, are you? So
no.
There we go. So probably not then, Carl. There we go. Oh, how quick are appointments coming through at Manchester? We'll just answer that one quickly before we go back to Anne.
Hey, John, very good, very quick. Yeah, I was talking to John yesterday. Yeah, at the moment, touch wood, everything's working very well. You can have one on Monday if you want.
Brilliant.
At the moment, let's see what happens next week. Yeah, the consulates is a constant rocky road of sleepless nights, but at the moment, the appointments are absolutely fine at Manchester as soon as you've got your code.
Brilliant. Very, very quick. So Anne's third question was, once you've been granted your NIE, do you have to stay a consecutive 183 days in Spain? There's a bit of confusion there, I think.
So yeah, I think what she's probably referring to is the TIE, which is the Tarjeta de Identidad Extranjero, which is your residency card as a third country national. And if she's coming on a NLV, then yes, you definitely have to spend more than 6 months in Spain. And if you intend to spend more than 5 years and get your larga duración, your long-term residency, then you would have to not spend more than 10 months of those 5 years outside of Spain, with no longer than 6 months at any one time.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So basically, you're expected, if you've got residency, you are expected to be living in Spain and stay for longer than 6 months.
Yeah.
And the 183 days is often something that people talk about with regard to taxes as well. Once you've been, but that tends to be within the financial year, which is January to December.
Yeah.
So there we go. I think that's answered all of Anne's questions. Let's see if we can get. Oh, John Bentley says, great news. I'll have one now then. I'll have my appointment now, he says. So anything that we haven't answered? Let's see. Oh yeah, let's answer Ian Fleming's. Why not? He's asking, where is it? Here it is. Currently going through an application for residency now. I have my NLV. Thankfully, Chris and Jane at Upsticks are helping. The question is, if this doesn't work out, I assume as a British national and citizen, I can simply return home and sever my use in Spain. Hopefully we won't do this, but wanted to ask.
You can just go. No, you can. It's not gonna. It's always gonna work out. Trust me. I was gonna say a really cheeky answer then, but no, don't worry, Ian. Jane, I'll be honest. Jane's been dealing with Ian's case because she deals with all the stage 2s. Well, in the administrative section of Upsticks, I deal with all the stage 1s, NLVs, and document renewals and stuff. Whereas Jane deals with stage 2. Which is probably a bigger headache because it involves coordinating everybody around Spain and getting the folders out to everybody, booking the appointments and making sure they get there on time with the right documents. But don't worry, Ian, we are yet to, now you've got your NLV, we're yet to fail to get one registered. So you'll be okay.
And having a passport from the UK does mean that the official rules are they have to welcome you back in. It's their duty to look after you. So
going the other way. Yeah.
So if you do get kicked out, you're always welcome back in Britain, unless they they're never going to stop you being a British national. There we go.
Unless your passport photo page is a bit knackered, then they tell you off.
Yeah, you can get told off, but even then they can't refuse you entry. No,
they can't stop you.
No, they can have a good try. They can make you feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I certainly felt told off.
So we've answered all of the questions and we've done everything within the hour. Brilliant.
Yay.
That's fabulous. We've timed it well. So if there's no more questions from the live chat, any prizes? Who have we got that we haven't given a prize out to? Is Carl Blakeman? Have you had a prize, Carl? Let's find out. I don't remember that we've sent Carl a prize, have we?
I don't know. I can't see the live chat, to be honest.
Oh, can't you?
So I'm on the mobile. So.
Oh right, it is very small on the screen. Yeah, Carl was the one that asked about his girlfriend being in Spain.
Yeah, cool.
There we go. So no, he's not had a prize before. There we go. So Carl, send an email. Rather, don't put it on the live chat. Send us your postal address, and we'll get a prize sent out to you.
Who else have we got in there? We're not giving John one. I gave John one.
John Bentley, yeah. and Barry's had a few, and Patrick Perkins. There we go.
Patrick's going to get his when he comes to Spain. I'll look after Patrick. Don't worry.
Oh, there you go.
When we see him, we'll look after Patrick.
What about Bonnie Wallace?
Yeah, send one out to Bonnie. Yeah.
There we go. So Bonnie, send an email. You can either do that to my email address via the website, or to Chris. What is it? Info at Upsticks.
Best to support at upsticks.es.
There you go. That'll go to the office then. Brilliant. So there's the prize winners for today. And John Bentley says, mine is full, Chris. There we go.
I'll get you another one. Don't worry, John. Come to the office. We'll find. In fact, I was looking at the old coveted prizes the other day and thinking, I've got to get myself some. Get back on and get some new ones. Any suggestions? We did the notebooks and we've done the folders. Evidently, we always do pens. Though I have to say, the ecological pens that I ordered were a bit naff, so I might not do them again.
Oh, these ones, yeah. You sent me a few of them. They come off very quickly on the tip, don't they? Never mind.
Yeah, they're not the best. I was trying to be sort of environmentally conscious with them, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of other ideas. We were thinking of fridge magnets. I don't know if that's a good one. People tend to use fridge magnets, so I need some of those. The notebooks went down very well, so people like notebooks. Any suggestions of prizes that we can get branded? Let me know.
Yeah. Send in your suggestions, and if you have
key rings.
Yeah, key rings. You never know. Those are the sort of things that get used and seen by people a lot. I know the pens do, but the pens tend to get lost and thrown out, discarded, lost.
Christmas hats. I was thinking about Christmas hats.
They're a bit limited in time scale. You wouldn't want to wear them in January and February, would you?
No.
Yeah, you'd get shouted at then.
Yeah.
So there we go. So we've got to 11. Oh, Barry from Unitex says you need golf balls.
I didn't think I was allowed to say that. The whole show I was going to crack a joke about that, and I thought after last time you got banned, I'm not allowed to say it.
Yeah. I think it wasn't the golf balls. It was a suggestive comment that didn't mention the word golf. So,
but I have to say that Barry's golf balls were very posh. We've had many comments on the course when my son gets them out to say, "Oh wow, you've got the not." Particularly understanding a lot about golf balls, but I know the ones that Barry sent, I have to thank him very much because they get a lot of nice comments.
Anthony and Kerry say passport covers. Let's reach out and see if I can. No, I can't reach them from here. I've still got a load of the passport covers that you sent me. I'll have to distribute them and
get them checked out. Get them checked out. I'll send you some more.
Yeah, no, don't send me any more of those. I've still got the big pile. I haven't got many people to give them to here, but there you go. So
brilliant.
We'll say goodbye then. Let's get everybody give Chris a big virtual hug and say goodbye for now. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. And what are we going to talk about? What's the next stage? Or should we do the car one?
Yeah, I think it's about time we did a car one. So I said we've been getting quite a few inquiries about vehicles, buying vehicles, the difference between buying a vehicle Spain, UK, bringing one over, various things. So maybe we could do an updated general car, bringing a car to Spain, driving in Spain.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, Ian Fleming says guitar picks. Yeah, that'd do for me.
Guitar picks. There you go. I don't know. I'll have to dig deep for them. That's a good idea.
Yeah, sun cream, Barry says. Yeah, that's appropriate. Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to get your own printed, I think.
You sent me some challenges there. Challenges. I'll have a look. Sun cream and guitar picks. I'm sure we can find some.
Cool. I'll look forward to that. So thanks everybody on the live chat, and big wave bye to Chris, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Ta-ra for now. We'll see you soon. Bye. There we go. So it's time to find out who's on next week's show. I think I told you earlier, didn't I? Around the Cozy Family Settee, around the Cozy Virtual Pool. Actually, next week we're going to be in the Cozy YouTooSpain office, and as I said earlier, we have on Antonio the Hestor, my Hestor, and hopefully yours too. And we had Antonio on, seems to be such a long time ago, and I think I was still broadcasting from Ireland the last time we had him on. So my special request, we've got him talking about the digital certificate, or digital fingerprint, as some people call it, because some of you really need to know how to use it. I've got one now and it's brilliant, installed on my systems, and it's made it very easy for me to run my life administratively here. So he'll be telling us all about it, what it is, what it's for, and how to use it. And although I've already recorded this show yesterday, I'll be putting it out live, so you'll still be able to go on the live chat and chat to each other while the show is on, because it's treated like it's called a premiere. So you never know, I might be watching from wherever I am next week. I'm not in the office. That's why we're putting out the recorded one. So in the meantime, keep an eye out for the midweek videos on Wednesdays, or the YouTube shorts. Yes, I've started doing shorts, not the ones you wear, but short videos. They're less than a minute long. They're loads of fun. Watch them and share them around to your friends, Get some new teeth. Teeth, that would be a good prize. I'd like some of them. I'm getting mine done soon. Yeah, you'll see that in the coming months. New teeth. Yeah, exciting, painful. Yes, I should document the whole process. I should do a whole new channel about why I need them. No, probably unpleasant. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click on the notifications bell, and when you do that, just click the all, because that tells you what's coming up next, and you the first to know whenever we do a notification about what's happening next. And I will see you next Saturday. Well, I won't, but you'll see me next Saturday at the regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland or the Canary Islands, or 10 o'clock if you're in Spain or anywhere in Central Europe. I can't wait. My lovely wife Liz says hi, hello, and you can join her for free virtual yoga and meditation and aromatherapy on her YouTube channel, YouTube Yoga and Aromatherapy. The link is below with all of the other ones. Thank you so much, everybody on the live chat and everybody who's watching back afterwards. That's all for this week. Somebody clear up that thing that's been sitting by the pool ever since somebody took the photograph, and pass around the tapas. I've got the munchies. It's about time for some peace and love. Oh, and one more little cosmic dance. Everybody, are you ready? Here we go.